Hey, Grand Rapids, did you know home prices are up over 18% year over year? Well, they are. Welcome to the Grand Rapids, Michigan, Kent County residential real estate market update with data through January 2022. My name is Rodney Constable. I'm a realtor with Century 21 affiliated out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. Year over year, home prices are up 18.8% in Kent County, with the average home selling for $318,620. 1 year ago, the average home was selling for $268,212. For years, I've heard people saying things like home prices can't continue to go up. Well, when I hear things like that, I think about the input costs to building a home. And some of the major input costs to building a home are land, labor, materials, and regulatory costs. So if somebody thinks that home prices cannot continue to rise in the future, what they're basically saying is that land is going to get cheaper and more plentiful. Labor is going to get cheaper and more plentiful. Materials are going to get cheaper and more plentiful. And the government's going to make regulatory costs of building a house cheaper and easier. And guys, when we just think about these four input costs, land, labor, materials, and regulatory costs, do we really think that any of these input costs to building a home are going to fall in the future? I doubt it. So if land, labor, materials, and regulatory costs are going to continue to go up, then home prices probably will continue to rise in the future as well. The average home is selling after being on the market for just 20 days. Now, when we compare that to the inventory of unsold homes, those homes have been on the market for an average of 87 days. So what these two data points tell us is that if a home is properly priced, it will sell in a relatively short period of time, right now in about 3 weeks. However, if a home is not properly priced for its condition, location, and amenities, it will stay on the market for an extended period of time, right now about 3 months. Next, let's take a look at year-to-date new listings. Now, in this category, we are down a lot right now. We're down 25.6% on new listings for the month of January. So we're looking at year-to-date new listings for 2022 compared to where we were in 2021. So right now, we're just looking at January of 2022 versus January of 2021 data. When we look at this information in a numerical format, what we can see is that so far for 2022, right, for the month of January, because each one of these years so far, we're just comparing January to January of each year over the last 7 years. But for January of 2022, there were 442 homes listed for sale in Kent County, compared to 594 homes for the month of January of 2021. That means we have 152 fewer homes that were listed this January, right? January of 2022 versus January of 2021. When we look down to 2016, right, which is one of the higher years, not the highest so far over the last 7 years was 2020. But when we look at 2016 to kind of get a long-term perspective, we had 680 homes that were listed in 2016. So we are down 238 homes, or 35%, right? We've had 35% fewer homes listed so far this year. Now, I know it's only 1 month of data, guys, but this is, you can see that 442 homes listed in January of this year compared to the previous 6 years. You can see that that is an extremely low number, all right? And again, compared to where we were in 2016, it's 35% fewer homes, 238 fewer homes for buyers to choose from. Okay, so this, it's important to understand these trends, right? Because this is going to be a contributing factor to the continued tight market that we have and the continued price escalation that we're going to see in houses in the Grand Rapids area. Now, when we look at year-to-date closed transactions, right, because what we were just looking at were listings so far, but now let's turn our attention to closed transactions versus the same period 1 year ago. Again, we're looking at January of each year, and so year over year, right, this January of 2022 compared to January 2021, we're down 7.8%, not near as bad as what we've seen for listings, but again, we're going backwards, right? When we look at the amount of closed transactions in January of 2022, we're at 486 compared to 527 last year. And so we've seen 41 fewer closed transactions in the month of January 2022 versus what we had in 2021. And again, when we go back to 2016, right, just to get a longer term perspective, we can see that we're down 93 homes, right? There were 93 fewer closed transactions in January of this year versus January of 16. And that is 16.06% fewer closed transactions this year versus where we were in 2016. Now, when we look at this, though, we can see that at 486 closed transactions, that's still more, a few more, not a lot, but a few more than we had in 2018 or 2019. So that number isn't horrible. The more concerning number, though, is when we go back and look at the number of listings, right? That is a huge drop, 442 so far for 2022 compared to, most of the other years were well over 600 looking back to clear back to 2016. Next, let's take a look at the average months of inventory in Kent County. Now, in this category, I have more data available to me, so I'm able to run the data back 10 years, where on the previous slides, I can only go back 7 years because that's all of the data that I have available to me. But when we look back over the last 10 years, we can clearly see that so far for 2022, at just 0.5 months, that's a half a month of inventory, guys. It's about 15 plus or minus days. That is by far the lowest inventory number that we have seen in Kent County over the last 10 years. As a matter of fact, 2014, right, is the highest inventory level that we've had at 2.3 months of inventory, and that is extremely low inventory. So why does inventory matter? Well, as we can see here, if you have between 1 and 2 months of inventory, you probably are going to experience double-digit price appreciation on homes. And that is exactly what we have seen for many years here in the Grand Rapids area. If you're running between 3 and 4 months of inventory, you would generally experience single-digit price appreciation. If the inventory built to where you had between 5 and 6 months of inventory, this is more of a normal, balanced, or neutral market where you might experience some price appreciation, but it would more than likely be in the low single digits. And if you're under 5 to 6 months of inventory, this is considered a seller's market, and that's exactly what we have seen for many years here in Grand Rapids. If you're over 6 months of inventory, this is considered a buyer's market. And if your inventory built to between 7 and 8 months, that's when you would most likely experience single-digit price depreciation. And then if the inventory built to 9 months plus, that's when you would likely see double-digit price depreciation. So 7 to 8 months of inventory, single-digit price depreciation, 9 months plus, that's when we start to get into double-digit price depreciation. If you would like to learn even more about the likelihood of home prices rising in the future, I would highly suggest you watch my information-packed Will Home Prices Continue to Rise video, which is out on my YouTube channel. I will also put a link to that video in the description box below this video. So what are the next steps? Watch my Will Home Prices Continue to Rise video, watch my other YouTube videos, subscribe to my YouTube channel for ongoing real estate education. Please give me a thumbs up on this video and other videos that you like. Leave a comment on my videos and share my videos on my YouTube channel with your friends, family, and colleagues. Also, please feel free to connect with me via social media and call me at 616-258-4782 if you are looking to buy or sell a home in the Grand Rapids, Michigan area. Thank you so much for being on this video with me. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.